Hey everybody.
Hi, Bree.
How are you doing?
Well, and yourself?
Doing great. Just making
Hello.
sure everything was kind of ready to go last minute here. Had to catch Joe from across the country. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, I finally get to see your face.
Hello, it's me.
That's a
I'm going to
great
give
new
everyone a
office you got.
chance to come in and let everyone get settled. So I was going to play just a short little video for people, just a short, quick one for funsies. Let me go ahead and get it rolling here. Share screen. Let me see if I had that right. I don't think I had it set up right. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, gonna give everyone their chance to come on in and we'll just go ahead and have fun watching this little clip.
Oh, it's your pie. And that's how I became rich, making the little slices grow. Money shouldn't be idle and must be put to work, you know.
Oh, yeah? How about all that idle dough you got stashed away?
Oh, no, lads. This is just petty cash. Moves in and out each day. If I sat on my money, I might just as well be stranded on a desert island for all the good 'twould do me. I couldn't eat it, couldn't wear it, couldn't use it. Oh, I can't bear it. Help! Money.
So, see if we have everyone in here now. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. And I want to do some intros too for people because we have over 100 registrants, so I'm not sure how many are going to be coming in today, but we are going to take this recording and put it onto the YouTube. Uh, as you guys know, Joe and I are just passionate about spilling all the beans, all the tea, trying to get as many people as we can aware of the way things work or actually how the math works. So, let's see here. We do have Megan Stevens. Megan Stevens is one of our executives on our team. She's just going to be reaching out to you guys. She might message you individually, just checking in because this is a group setting here. When we have questions, you guys are going to be able to hop on and ask your question. But in case you're not comfortable doing that, you're more than welcome to message her privately to ask your question and keep your anonymity. Awesome. Let's see. Do we have the man of the hour in here?
We're here.
Of course not. I think Joe is still getting in. There he is. Oh, he's listed as Brianna Shaw. That's too funny.
Yeah, I
Yeah, this was a first. Yep, Dex is right. Little technical difficulties. I figured I'd want to do it this way versus live streaming just to get a feel for it on how it's going to go. So we've got Joe in. And you guys won't need your cameras on. I love seeing everyone's faces, but if you do have any issues with seeing the videos or the slideshow, stopping video might be a good route for that. We'll have a chance for testimonials and Q&A. So you're more than welcome to turn on your cameras and microphones during that time. So I'm going to go over to our presentation page here and give me just a moment to go ahead and hit the share button. Okay, we're doing the Just Ask Joe webinar, the first one. Thank you so much for everyone. I did see some new faces, but a lot of familiar faces and names as well. I really appreciate you guys, and I know Joe does too, that you're coming and taking time out of your day to sit with us. We just wanted to kind of keep these 3 points in mind as we go through this video and webinar. Have your purpose. What is your why? Okay, the easier way for you to retain information is if you're going in with the mindset that you're going to be applying what you learn. So you need to have a reason for being here. If you're here, be willing to learn. We're that's the whole goal. All we want to talk about is money all the time. We love learning, and you need to be willing to hear it again. Just making sure we've got all the facts in and able to have the discipline to know if something's accurate or not accurate. Have it memorized. You'll hear Joe when you're out and about making your decisions, talking about how to treat your money. So the flow of this, we're going to be going over some mindset factors and just some facts about money, as well as some of the systems and strategies that Joe does, and then we'll be opening up the floor for kind of Q&A each time. This is about your mindset. Truly, we know that the wealthy have a different lane of focus on when it comes to money or acquiring means of producing more money compared to the average middle class American. And traditionally, people are trying to find ways of trading their more time for money. The wealthy are focused on how do they utilize assets or money to make more money.
No, they did. This place they went on toast by that time. They were there for like 3 hours.
I couldn't hear that. So we have the value strategy. This is what we're here to teach today. Joe's entire system and process is about value. That's what he's here to deliver to you guys, and it's what he's here to teach you. So how are we going to achieve velocity, arbitrage, leverage, utilization, and efficiency with the money? Joe, do you have anything to add so far?
You're doing good. Did you play the little video in the beginning?
Just a little part of it, yeah.
Okay, I missed it because I couldn't.
That's
Cool.
okay. That's a good one for everyone to watch because, a lot of people always thought that Scrooge McDuck was just keeping all that money and it was his savings. But no, it's definitely not. It's petty cash, moves every day. Um, so we have the holy trinity of wealth here. We have our savings, our earnings, and what we're trying to put out into opportunities to make us cash flow. The issue is that for most Americans, most people out there that are panicking or frantic about money, not able to seem to acquire enough. And I come from that background, right? I came from the clutches of poverty when I started my wealth building journey. It's because we were using the dollar one time. Every time we had money come in, it was, what pot are we going to put it towards? We can only put it to one. But this is about understanding that there's a little code that you can break for the game. There's a cheat code to it. There are vehicles that we can put our money into where we're getting utilization of that dollar more than once, right? And that's part of the value strategy is achieving using the dollars as many times as we can. And then we have the wealth gap, right? The top 1% owning 32% of the US wealth. Middle class only owning that 27%, and then the 50 bottom percent is only owning 2.5. So there's a huge gap happening. Why is it happening? Here's looking at the numbers on that net worth difference based on classes. So what is the reason that we're seeing such a discrepancy with the numbers? Why are some people able to obtain it and why are people not? It's how we're using the dollar and how we're using our debts. Middle class uses the debts for consumption, right? Joe and the wealthy use them for leverage, trying to create the opportunity for arbitrage, part of the value system. And when we have 65% of Americans that are living paycheck to paycheck, and among those, even the six-figure earners, there's still a big portion that are experiencing being paycheck to paycheck. And then emergency savings, a lot of people don't have any. And even if an emergency bill came up, they would be getting put into the poorer house, going another step above. So it's a real mess out there right now, and that's why people are really frantic, especially with what's going on. We're not even going to get into the politics or out there in the global world, but that's what's bothering people. There's a lot of static, a lot of noise, and they don't have the strategies. And that's because we're living like the middle class, right? We're waiting for a long time to start putting our money to work. We're focusing on how do we put ourselves to work for more money, while the wealthy are out here leveraging their dollars, achieving that value. And then we have, what is that mindset? We have an asset, right? Asset being your home. it ends up being the liability. We need to know those definitions. The wealthy are using their assets, using their real estate as assets because they're using them to bring in more baby dollars. Wealthy teach money. They talk investing, leverage, taxes, legacy, strategy, planning, and implementation. Middle class doesn't want to talk about money. Many of you may have heard growing up when you tried to ask your parents about money. That's not for you to know. That's an adult topic. It's fine. You don't pay the bills. They just try to push away the conversation. We've had a lot of clients where they talk about how difficult it is to talk about those
Yeah.
conversations, even with other family members.
Can we make
But
sure we are muted?
thank you, Megan. Financial literacy is going to be the real inheritance. And that is why the wealthy families see that wealth continuing into the
Yeah, we're
next
gonna only
generation.
come forward and back.
If you look at the Vanderbilts, okay, they don't have that same wealth that they did. It's because the financial literacy ended up eroding and degrading over time through their generations, and they weren't handling the money properly. And then we have the four
Stalker,
banking
you need
pillars.
to mute, please.
Yeah, if you guys are on, could you please mute?
For the
Um,
burger.
So we have the four banking pillars. We've got the foundations of true financial mastery when we know these four systems. Pay yourself first. Be in control. Money not in motion does not make money. And we're only spending interest, never principal.
Like anything like that?
How do we do that though? When we're paying ourselves first, are we putting it into a Chase bank account, an everyday checking account, out there into just our regular credit union? No, we're putting it into our family banking system, somewhere where it's going to be protected and it's going to be helping the rest of the family. We're going to be in control with that family banking system or with our magical tool, the HELOC, right? HELOC Joe. Money in not motion does not make money. We're going to keep our money in motion. That's keeping that velocity going. And if we're only spending interest, that's how we achieve the financial independence, where we're not having to trade our time for money. And then we have the HELOC versus the mortgage. Joe, do you want to go a bit into that? What do we
So the
think the
mortgage,
difference is? Yep.
yeah, sure. So people always get a mortgage because they don't think that you could purchase a house with a HELOC. Everybody buys a house with mortgage. What's a mortgage? That's amortized interest. Amortized interest, I call that the double arithmetic, because on a scale,
You still
you're
got
going to be
that.
paying 2 to 2.5 times more than what the house is valued at. A HELOC is simple interest. So the simple you're
Yeah,
paying
bring
out
an
what
order
you
of the,
put at point in time.
Oh, really?
Hey,
Awesome.
hey,
Okay, Joe, could you go ahead and unmute yourself there? I muted everybody just to be sure.
Okay.
There we go.
And a HELOC is done with simple interest. So the amount that you owe is actually the amount that you're paying. There you go. There's a simple interest with the amortized. So the equity will grow a lot quicker when the principal is paid down more, and you'll get that more with simple interest with a HELOC than you would with a mortgage, because that's already on a set schedule of how much is going to the bank and what's going to the loan of the house.
Absolutely. And we're looking at a much faster payoff time too, and being able to stay in control. I
I have
love
a
it.
question about that.
Of course.
I'm not sure if we're open for questions yet.
No, that's all right.
Sure.
What's your
Go ahead.
question?
Hi, my name's Claire. I'm calling from Florida. I'm
Claire.
actually under contract. Well, appraisal came back low. We're going to cancel the contract, but so this was a good point for me to ask. Um, so the HELOC obviously you can only use once you already have a home loan, correct? Or are you
No,
accessing other HELOCs here? Because this would
Absolutely.
be
negative.
my first purchase.
Nope, you can purchase a house with a HELOC right from day one.
With a home equity line of credit from someone else's house? I guess that's my question
No,
for tonight's meeting.
I
no,
love it.
from the
Okay.
bank, from the
So
bank. Obviously, yeah, there's different products out there that we don't know even exist. So yes, there's banks out there that actually on day one will give you a HELOC instead of a mortgage. So let me ask this question to you. So you find a house that's worth $100,000. You put 20% down. So you owe 80% in the mortgage. 30 years later, you pay off this house. Now there's nothing owed on it. You go back to the bank and you say, I want a HELOC on my house. The bank says, okay, well, we go up to 80%. They're going to take $80,000 and put it inside of an account for you to use. What's the difference? You waited 30 years in order to use that 80,000, or you can get that 80,000 on day one. It's the same thing. And some banks realize this and they have this product. So depending on your credit score, depending on what you can qualify for, some banks go up to 80, 85, or 89%. So if you have a credit score of a 740 or above a 720, this bank will lend you 89% if you qualify for the income on your first dwelling. So you only have to put 11% down. You do that with a mortgage, you're going to pay PMI. Now with the HELOC, different products.
And
Okay, I'm definitely interested in learning more. I'm in the 790 to 810 credit score range,
Oh,
and I was under contract to for a 10% conventional loan in the 600 range. So
okay.
I feel like this is divine timing that I saw Brianna's post and I'm on this call. So I don't want to take up too much of everyone else's time
No,
with my own personal situation, but
absolutely.
definitely
No.
here for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Schedule a call and we'll get you set up with the bank and get you going.
I'd love to know my options. Thank you.
And that
You're,
that's what that's really what it is. We just need to know what the vehicles are. A mortgage, it
mhm.
sounds like a complex thing, but really it's a loan. It is a one-time receipt of funds to use to acquire a home that you're still going to owe on. But
Mhm.
because it's a loan, it's going to be amortized and we're going to pay out the butt for interest for the next 15 to 30 years. But a line of credit is still using the home equity and keeping it in that debt form. It's just a simple interest revolving credit line, and that's why it makes sense to pay it down a lot quicker. Um, but yes, so as long as you have the difference, if you're purchasing your first home ever, as long as you have the difference between the bank's HELOC that you're trying to acquire, the Joe gave an example of 80%, but based on your credit score, you would actually go and qualify for like 89% at some banks. Um, so you would only need that 11% difference as the down payment to be able to acquire that 89% line of credit. And now you're in that simple revolving interest credit line for your house instead of that loan. So makes it a lot
And
easier.
if you qualified for that mortgage, your DTI is going to be almost the same thing with the HELOC. I mean, it's just a different product. I mean, the banks are still going to be, qualifying you on the same things.
We
So,
have a question in the chat about the interest rate, mortgage versus HELOC.
good question. Okay. So the equation is, well, I have a 3% mortgage. So the simple interest is always higher, right? A HELOC is always higher interest, but you have to account for the amortization. So what would be the equation? A 3% mortgage equates to a 12% simple interest HELOC. What do I mean when I say that? If you go in, you can fact check me and go into bankrate.com and put in a mortgage at 3%. After 30 years, the interest that you're going to pay back is approximately $100,000 in interest on a $100,000 line of credit. So that's 2x. So if you were to take that 12 and drop it to 1, that's simple interest per the month. So the equation is 3% amortized is equivalent to a 12% simple interest. So somebody says, my mortgage is 5%. Well, then that's about 14% simple interest. And if you drop that 5% mortgage to a 7% HELOC, what did you do? You saved half. Half. And that is where the velocity comes in. That is where the one pot system comes in. When we take everything that comes into the house, say you have $10,000 coming into the house, and you spend $5,000 a month. Well, you left in $5,000 that you didn't spend that month, right? That 5,000 went directly to the principal. Did you ever pay $5,000 in 1 month on the principal of your mortgage? No. And you never will, because as soon as you give that $5,000 to the bank, you might need that money. So we're not going to pay any more principal to it. But if we have a revolving line of credit, we can do it all day long. Put the money in on Monday, take it out on Tuesday. Put it back in on Wednesday, take it out on Thursday. Revolving line of credit. And you're only paying interest on what you owe. Hope that helped. Any questions in regards to that? No? Ookie.
At least I still try to, for me, it's difficult still to try to compare the amortized schedule versus like a simple interest mechanism and being able to see, okay, like what's really being saved because it's not on a schedule. And so it's kind of like comparing apples and baseballs. And so
So
I know it's not front loaded, and so it's much easier to control and to see when it's simple interest versus scheduled out amortized. And so I'm still just trying to find a see the math to be able to compare a simple or interest only rate versus an amortized schedule.
So if you were to go to bankrate.com and put in your amortization schedule from the first day that you purchased the house, you know that the first 15 years you're going to be lopsided with more going to the interest than you would be the principal. So you would put that amortization schedule in and get that out, and then you could compare those numbers. Now you go back in to a simple calculator, and just like I told you, if you have $10,000 a month coming in and 5,000 going out, you're averaging $5,000 a month or $60,000 a year. So then you would go into the simple interest calculator and put in the amount of money that you bought the house for, 400,000 or whatever, and negate $5,000 a month every month by paying that interest. And how much would that be? That's on a HELOC calculator. So you're putting in $60,000 a year, 5 times 12, on a $400,000 loan. So aren't you done with that loan in 8 years? Why is it taking you 30 years to knock out that 400? That's kind of simply the math right there. It's not how much you're paying. It's how much are we leaving in? How much money is actually getting put to the principal? Does that help? Because 60 times 8 is 480. So that's 80,000 more than you even put into the 400. And that 400 is based on 30-year mortgage.
Joe, this is Van Torian here. Is that because it's daily interest?
It is the average daily balance on 28 days, and that is what you're paying. So if every Friday you're getting a paycheck and you're putting in $1,000 each week on Friday, each week that number will be declined. It's minusing from the principal. So this 7 days you're paying on 100,000. This 7 days you're paying on 99. This $1,000 you're paying on 98. This week you're paying on 97. So every time those numbers will go down every time the principal, and now it's the average daily balance. So if you only increase twice a month, we teach you how to put everything on credit card and pay it off at the end of the month. Same thing with the HELOC. So that goes out once a month. So if 2 days of the month your principal increases and 28 it decreases because of your velocity and the way that you're putting in your money when you're getting paid, at the end of the month you're going to be paying less in interest. So what does that mean over the course of the year? If on January 1st we owe $100,000 and we do this for 12 months at say 7%, by December 31st, are you technically Did you pay $7,000 because you owed 100,000? No, you're not going to pay 7,000. It's going to be pretty close to 5,000 or 5,500, somewhere in there, because of the amount of interest that you were paying and the velocity of it going in. So by doing this and performing velocity inside of a revolving line of credit, you actually diminish the interest rate that you're actually paying too.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And a good thing for people to know about the HELOCs too, like any product, the mortgage or the HELOC, when you go into a bank and you try to get qualified for said product, they're going to be basing it off of your income, right? You can't go over the monthly payment being a certain percentage of your income. And so when they qualify you for a HELOC, they're going to be qualifying you at that full line that you're trying to obtain. In Joe's example, it was, let's say 100,000 that we're getting. But we only owed, let's say 60,000 on the property. So we're only utilizing 60,000 immediately from the line of credit. But when we go in to qualify for the 100, they're going to base the monthly payments, the expectation off of that 100,000, whatever at the interest rate. So the number is going to be higher. My mortgage was at 3,000 a month, and when I went to get the HELOC after 14 months of having the mortgage, they said your monthly payment's going to be 3,800. Well, that's more than my mortgage. But it wasn't. My very first month, it was 1,700. And then it kept going down every single month. It was 1,500, 1,100, 987, and it just kept declining. So it's definitely different, but it's nice to know when you first get it, you're going to feel comfortable. You're going to have breathing room because the bank already qualified you at a higher amount than what it's going to be.
Hey, I got a question.
Yeah.
This is Dana here.
Hey,
How you doing, Bree?
doing good.
Remember, I was trying to get my all-in-one HELOC,
Mhm.
and I didn't qualify for that. But I just received a HELOC notice from the Bank of America. I guess that would be a second lien HELOC. Am I correct?
Yes, that would probably be a second lien. So depending on what they go up to, 80% of your DTI. So if you have $400,000 house or a $500,000 house and it's 80%, you'd be able to get 400,000. Well, now you
Right.
have a $200,000 mortgage on that 400, so now you would be eligible for 200,000. So they take the
Right.
8% minus the mortgage, and then you're allotted the rest.
Right. Joe, would you take a second lien if I wasn't able to get the first lien like I tried to do? At least I would have a revolving account that I could move my money through.
So, my friend, how do you think I started this? The first
Yeah,
thing I
I've heard
started
your
with
story.
was with a second lien for
That's right. I
175,000.
remember. Okay. Yeah. Because I think I'm going to have to start the same way and fix my credit up a little more. Because I was
Yeah,
really trying for the all-in-one, but I
sure.
just don't have the credit score for it right now.
Yeah.
And then I
So,
got a letter from Bank of America says, "Hey, we'll give you a HELOC. It's a 5.4 for 3 months and a 8.4 after that."
okay. Well, and then what we would do is we would show you how to use that as your all in one. All of your money that comes into the house would go into that. We would
Right.
perform city banking on that. And
Yep.
then we would incorporate and pay off the credit cards, pay off the heat, pay off your car or whatever kind of third party debt to make your cash flow increase. Now that's more money coming into your pot every month. Now we're going to start breaking down and chunking at the mortgage. Every time we could throw 5,000, we would throw 5,000. Then we acquire another 10,000 in the HELOC, throw another 5,000, and then go and then get rid of the velocity inside of the HELOC, and then we would take over the mortgage. Then your credit score is going to go up. And what are we going to do then? Then we can go get an all-in-one, and you can go all the way up to 89% because you're going to have a 750 credit score, and you'll be qualified.
That's awesome. You know what's really good, Joe, is I have no other debt than my home. I
Look
have
at
taken
that. So
care of everything else, and I just got approved for my policy. I go active today.
awesome.
Yes. And I remember the lessons on going it through the HELOC and pulling it out of the HELOC and running it through the policy. So
Yeah.
I am very excited to be able to try to, use the strategy that you've been going over here
Yeah.
for a while. Well, thanks,
Well,
Joe and Bree. I
you're
really
welcome.
appreciate y'all's support. It's been
When,
so helpful to me. And now I think I got the second lien. I'm going to go for it and see if I can land it. Thank you.
all right. Well,
And I will say, just as an addition, sometimes, certain banks will decline us for some reasons, and others might give us an opportunity. We have an ever-growing list of banks and credit unions around the country that offer various HELOC products to try and find the right one for you. I had a client that I went out to eat with, met his family, and he was talking about how he got declined from the bank that I have my HELOC through, and told me about a bank that was able to get him a HELOC anyways. So there,
Would you
looks like I got,
recommend that? Should I stay with banking because that's where I have all my IBC accounts, my segregated account. Everything is with Bank of America. They reached out to me, or do you think we should look around, Bree? Do you think it'd be worth
I
shopping
think
around a little bit with you
shopping is
guys?
always good. I feel like there's no issue as long as you have the ability and a capacity to discern between the options. That's important. I want you guys to be able to look what's out there. I don't think we should try and keep ourselves bound to only one way or the highway, one resource or the other. That's why we don't have one specific bank we tell you guys about. We just try to acquire, like Pokemon, collect them all and just have the resource available for anyone wherever they're at. There's no harm in shopping around. We have a bingo card for HELOCs, so you can actually write down your top few banks and what questions to fill in, and then you can just look at the card, be like, bingo, we found the one we want. Let's go ahead and shoot for that one.
So I
and
got a
that sounds
question
good.
on that specific example. So he didn't get approved for the all-in-one from the good all-in-one companies,
Mhm.
right? Then all of a sudden, Bank of America comes in and says, "Oh, I can give you a second lien." But wouldn't it be better for him to go back to the all-in-one company and say, "I didn't qualify for the all-in-one with you, but do I qualify for a second lien HELOC with you?" And that way he can start building the relationship right out of the gate with the first lien HELOC company. And then as soon as he gets to the point where he's ready to switch to the all-in-one, he just is working with the same company. My experience is first tier banks like Bank of America are good for checking accounts and credit cards and things like that, but they're not so good with home equity lines of credit and thinking outside of the box.
You've got it. Yep. And that I
You're right.
agree 100%.
Yeah, thank you for that advice, gentlemen. Thank you so much. That helps me a lot. I love that we have a mastermind group here. It
And
really helps.
Dana,
Thank you.
I was
Yes,
gonna
sir.
say, when you get the all the fine print of that HELOC, schedule a call with us. We'll go over it to make sure that it checks all the boxes, just to make sure
Okay.
that there's no extra lien, any fees or anything like that.
Right.
Sometimes they're gonna say, oh, you can only take out $1,000, or every time you take it out, there's gonna be 10% fee, and sometimes that we don't know that until you see the fine print. So we want to make sure that it checks all of our boxes.
Okay. Sounds good, Joe, because I have to like April 4th or 2nd to jump on it if I want to. Or I just, like you said, I might just go with you guys and see what we can find. Or you think I should at least try to see what they offer?
Shop around, and you still got time, and then we can still pull the trigger if you don't find anything. So
Sounds great. That's what I'll do then. Thank you.
awesome.
Is there a downside to completely paying off a small mortgage with a HELOC for tax deductible or insurance ramifications?
So when you're talking about write-offs, you're talking about the write-offs that you're getting for the interest on your mortgage. You're only being able to write off 15, 20, 25%, whatever your tax liability is. So every dollar that you're throwing to interest, you're only writing off a quarter of it. Is there a better way to pay off the mortgage and keep that dollar, or to keep spending the dollar and paying the bank and only being able to keep a quarter of it?
Your
I hope.
interest on a mortgage or on a HELOC is tax deductible. So a lot of people don't know the difference between asset and liability. Joe's daughter actually came home from school one day talking about how her financial teacher was talking about homes being an asset. She's like, this guy is ridiculous. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I said, Ariana, did you raise your hand and ask you how much did your house pay you this month? She's like, no, I want to get an A. I'm like, okay.
And that's what it boils down to. If something is putting money in your pocket and protected and has value, that's an asset. If you have to take, if it's taking money away from you, then you have to put money into it and a balance is owed to someone else, and that's it. Well, that's a liability. And even once we pay off our homes, right? Everyone talks about that big goal of wanting to pay off their mortgage. Well, when we do that, we still have property taxes. We still have, bills for maintaining the home. We still have the utilities. There are expenses. So we need to have a way to leverage that equity, that value we have in the home, to be able to put that money to work to create more cash flow and refill our pockets. So active versus passive income. We know active. We're all very familiar with active. That's where we're working hard for the money. We're trading the time for the dollar, and it's requiring our energy, requiring that time. And that still can be self-employment. That still can be investing, right? People invest to become landlords often. They invest to do flips and things and or fix and flips, and they're requiring a lot of their time, a lot of their energy. And especially if you're a landlord, you're gonna have to be at the beck and call for when a hot water heater breaks down or something goes wrong. It's still requiring your observance, your interaction, and that makes it active. Passive income, we're just having the money working for us, the money making assets, a business that's just making money on autopilot. It's not requiring our time or work. Now, that doesn't mean when we're initially building up those opportunities, right? We're initially getting into an investment or we're initially establishing our real estate business and how it's going to flow. There might be some requirements for us to take time and money and put into it. But once it stabilizes and allows us to step away, now we've achieved the passive income. But if we still have to keep going in every week just to make that money happen in the bank account, it's not completely passive.
And Bree, you said becoming a landlord. You're not a true landlord until you get that call on Christmas Eve saying, my furnace broke.
That's true. So we have this is some math to kind of give you guys an idea here of why we run the money the way we do from a HELOC to a policy back into the HELOC. We are earning this, we'll even go lower than that. I should have put Greg's line. I don't know how to erase his line, but we could have put 5% for the dividend. Let's go lower. If we're borrowing at 7%, and that money, because we're leveraging it, is still earning us 5%. What was really our cost to borrow from the policy?
2%.
Now, if we're using the HELOC and let's say we are at an 8% interest rate. So when we take funds from that line of credit, well, now we're borrowing at 8%. So if we have money burning a hole in our pocket and we're saying, I want to be a responsible banker, I want to do my best to, be diligent, where should my money go? What does the math tell us? Is it better to pay our loan back to the policy to recoup that 7%? That's technically two. Or should we be keeping it in the HELOC where we're offsetting the 8% and it's ready to dispatch into an investment that's able to cover our cost for borrowing from both pots?
Anybody have questions on that have policies? And another thing, Bree, this is year one. What happens with our IBC policies?
Oh, yeah. It keeps getting more and more efficient as the years go by. That's the beauty of it. So I don't know
So,
why these numbers are mixed up here, but by year 11, by year 10, year 11, all of your policies are going to be 200 to 300% cash on cash. So in year 10, year 11, when you're putting your funds in, you're going to be seeing that cash value increasing for that year by 200 to 300% from your premium. In fact,
Depending how the policy is
yes,
built.
it depends on the policy design. Joe built one where it broke 700. He just has to see a glass ceiling and go shatter it, you know? So that's the fun part is the compounding interest. That's why we run money from our HELOC to a policy before we put it into an opportunity. We want to get that compounding interest working in our favor in addition to our money working in opportunities or our money offsetting what we owe in the house and getting that death benefit and that legacy for our family. So
That
traditional
was
banking. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
that was Chris's daughter's policy. He just said that in the chat.
So our traditional banking versus our IBC, that's really, you want to weigh what you know compared to what you're trying to learn, right? We need to see how is this going to benefit me? Does it really matter? Is this a waste of my time? Why am I here? We're comparing it to something we're using and how well is the system or strategy that we're currently using. We have a traditional bank account where the bank is in control of the money. Don't believe me? Okay, well, let's go look up how many banks have failed since 2001. Fun fact, it's over 569. We have to qualify for the loans. What happens if you want to go into your bank account at Bank of America or Chase and you want to pull out $15,000 like right now, right here, or you want to put in you cash a check right now. I want the cash. They're going to say we need to know what the money's for. We need to know where it came from. We need to know what you want to do with it because we don't feel like it's actually yours. The interest payments are going to the bank when we are paying for anything, right? It's just benefiting the bank, whatever we're doing. Our amortized loan structure that we have, where we're paying more interest up front with a traditional bank account, all these traditional means. If we're running our money through our banking system, paying ourselves first into our policy, we control the dollars there. We don't have to tell people why we're pulling out money. We don't have to get permission. Yes, there's a waiting period. That is the toughest part. But we can access that cash again and again and again without requalifying, without hits to our credit score, without interest payments completely just screwing us up. When we pay the interest payments to our policy for borrowing, I feel great doing it because I know that means that I'm participating in a mutually owned insurance company that has been paying dividends consecutively for over 120 years. And given what's happened over the last century and a quarter, I feel very confident that they're going to be taking care of me again with more dividends in the future. And I know that I'm not interrupting what's happening within my policy by covering my interest. I feel a lot better doing it there than paying a bank. Um, and then we get that ability to where we're able to actually influence the growth even more. So that comes in with the velocity banking. This depends on how your policy is designed. A lot of people hate the policies, the life insurance aspect. I get it, but you don't hate it when something happens to the family. You don't hate it when you're needing money and your bank account's at zero, but you find out that you actually had 5,000 available in your cash value and you're able to give yourself a loan to float yourself a bit till that next paycheck comes in, which was an example we had with a client. So that is the beauty of these policies. They're built because we keep the base as small as we can, unless we're building a money tree in year two policy. But the base is that cost of insurance. It's what we can't touch right away. PUA, paid up additions. That is the magic. That is what gives us immediate cash value for what we're putting in. So we design your policy based off of, we show you what the IRS is telling you your maximum is that you can put in, the maximum amount that you can pay yourself first into your private banking system that's buying you that tax-free death benefit legacy for the family, that's putting your dollars somewhere where they're protected against lawsuits, judgments, liens, creditors, and against loss because of the guarantees within the policy for growth. All aspects that our bank account does not do. Any questions on the policy before we let Joe go through his example?
So usually on my first call, when I'm talking to somebody on our strategies, getting to know them, answers questions and answers, I'll go over the 4 pillars. We already did that with you. And then I'll come up with, let's do an activity together. So, Bree, should we do this activity, you and me?
Sure.
Okay. So I say, so I say, okay, we're on a road trip and we both need gas. We pull into the gas station. You pull to the left side of the pump. I pull to the right side of the pump. You pump in $100. I pump in $100. We both go in to pay. You take $100 bill out of your pocket and you hand it to the cashier. How much of your money did you just hand the cashier?
$100. Woo.
I take $100 out of my pocket and I hand it to the cashier. How much of my money did I hand the cashier?
Everyone always says $100.
And I always say 0. And they're like, how? Well, I took my $100, I deposited it into my policy, my credit union. And then I borrowed 100 from the general fund of the insurance company, never touching my deposit. My deposit will be making me dividends till I stop breathing. Now I take that 100 and put that into an opportunity, which gives me interest. That goes into my pocket. That is what I handed the cashier. My 100, my principal, is not only working in the policy, it's working in the investment in 2 places. When you took your principal, your 100, handed it to the cashier, and now it's gone and left you forever, never to see it again. Mine is still working in 2 places, and I'm spending the interest.
See, I was apprehensive to be the example in that scenario because I don't like
Well,
hearing that I'm throwing my money away.
I need you to play along.
So that's really how that boils down. I hope that makes sense to you guys. And you'll see I put income to HELOC, right? Because part of Joe's strategy is putting all income into the HELOC until we need to put it elsewhere. So it saves a few extra dollars, even if it's there for a day or two.
Anybody have any questions on that?
Yep.
I have a general question. You may have answered this already. Again, this is my first time being exposed.
Sure.
I'm currently banking with Chase. I have my personal checking and my business checking. If I were to open up a HELOC line with another banking company, would I
Mhm.
need to also have a checking account with them? Or can I tie my Chase? Because right now, all my deposits are going into my Chase business account.
Most
So
banks set up a checking account with you to have the credit line too. A lot of
Okay,
them.
so it would be an additional checking account, but they'll
But
still
I will
count, obviously,
say,
my
yeah, I will
income
say
from the other bank.
I still have my regular checking account from before my HELOC. But here's the problem with that. There's one income source that still goes into that account. And then I have to move it into my HELOC. So I have to wait for the transaction to transfer from one bank to the next, which takes however many hours or days, depending on the amount. And then once it's there, I have it in the HELOC. Same thing if I'm trying to utilize from the HELOC. So having everything switched, having all of your bills, all the expenses, everything that you spend money on, as much as you can, have it connected to credit cards, and then have that income all going into the HELOC, have the HELOC paying off the credit cards once a month. Your goal is to get the best game of golf, the best round of golf you can with your HELOC. The lower you are of transactions leaving the HELOC, the better you'll be. We just want to put all the transactions going into the HELOC. So it's a little easier and more efficient for you just throughout your busy schedule to only have the one place where the money's going in and out.
I
But you
think I
could
can
do both.
answer her question a little bit more clearly.
Sure.
All in one, what they mean is all in one has a HELOC as well as a checking account with it. And what they do is they do a sweep every night. So let's say your paycheck goes into your checking account at the same bank where your HELOC is. At the end of the night at 11:59, your paycheck gets transferred from your checking account into your HELOC and brings your HELOC interest down, so you're paying less, or balance down, so you're paying less interest. So your checking account that's tied to the HELOC every night goes to 0. if somebody comes in and needs to make a payment, like you write a check, you write that check and it goes out. You go negative in your checking account during the daytime, and 11:59 it goes back to the HELOC and pulls from that line to cover that check and takes it back to zero. This is a velocity banking tool. So your little checking account off to the side at Chase, if you talk to Chase about this, they'll be totally blown away. They'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. But the banks that Joe works with, this is what the all-in-one does. And this concept is very becoming very niche-y, and the banks that specialize in it do it very well and treat you really well. And it's very easy to do. And you'll find out that it just works back and forth. And to give you an example, like I have this working. And so what Bree is saying with you put everything on credit cards, right? When I look at my bank statement from my checking account that's tied to my HELOC, what I see is all of this. Nothing happens for 3, 4 days, 5 days. All of a sudden, there's a $5,000 hit because I paid my credit card off, and you'll see a transaction that goes, oh, it went negative 5,000, and then there'll be another deposit the next day that say, oh, 5,000 came back in, and that was an automatic draw off of my HELOC line. And then so the checking account that's tied to it just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to zero. And it's awesome because you don't even need to worry about it. It just happens and it's amazing. And then I keep a running total of what my cash flow is against my open line in my HELOC. So I always know, let's say I want to have a $40,000 available line of credit in my HELOC. I'll actually forecast what that's going to look like as these different expenses come in and out of it through that checking account that's tied to it. That whole concept is actually called velocity banking, and it's one of their pillars. That's the first one there, and you really have to get a concept and get your head around what velocity banking is to understand how that works.
You're awesome, Brent. And I was like, we're skipping ahead. We're going right to a client testimonial.
Thank
I
you
was
for
gonna
sharing.
say, hey, Brent, while
Actually, I
you're
have a
still
question.
talking, I mean, you're on the floor. I mean, how about a little testimonial? What's it
Right.
like working with me? Well, no, he's not going to say it.
No, I'll go ahead and I wanted to at least put my thing on so you guys can see me. It took me 3 months to get my head around going to a first lien HELOC all-in-one, because I had a 3.5% amortized that I loved, and I've owned the house. I'm sitting here in my bedroom, right? I've owned this house since 2003, and like an idiot, I refinanced it every time the interest rate went down. And those big commercial banks love that, because every 5 to 7 years, I was going back to the bank and resetting that amortization schedule, and I got screwed. It's a game. Amortization, Joe says, is the devil's arithmetic, and it actually is a scam, and in my opinion, should be outlawed. You should not be allowed to do that. If you look at if you were to pay your full 30-year fixed mortgage at 3%, you'll end up paying for your house 3 times in that 30 years. And the only winner there is not you, it's the bank. So that's how they make money. It took me a while to figure this out. So then I went and I got my HELOC at 7%. And I got my house was worth, I think they appraised it like 450. It's actually higher now. I could go back and increase my credit line if I wanted to. And I ended up being able to get $160,000 of available credit in addition to what I already owed on my mortgage. So basically, I owed like 240 or something on my mortgage, and they took that and said, "Yeah, you still owe that. That's good. You're going to pay it, but here's another $140,000 that you have, and it's going to be at 7%." I'm like, all right, thanks for that money. So I got that, started paying this monthly interest, and it was, I don't know, about $1,700 a month. Actually, more like $2,000 a month. And then I said, okay, Joe, what do we do next? And he says, let's take some of that available credit out. So I had 140. And I took probably too much. I took $120,000 of that out. And I gave it to Joe, and we put it into 2 insurance policies. And we got insurance policies that are rocking and rolling. Big dump-ins for both, like $60,000 for my wife, $60,000 for me. And then I went and I took a loan from the insurance policy at 5%. And I brought it back and I actually put it in a private lending opportunity. And there's a ton of them. We can show you how to go. Joe can show you how to go and find these. But let's say on the low end, I do it at 12% and I make 12% on that money. So this money from the investment that I made of $120,000 is out there making 12% monthly. It comes back in to my to me as income, and I put it into the checking account, and it goes and pays down my HELOC and it pays my interest out. So at one point, my interest was enough to almost cover my monthly payment on my HELOC. So I was essentially living in my house for like nothing, or for like $500 a month by doing that wheel. So that's why I always like to think of it as, you should never own your home. Owning your home is not that big a deal. You should think of your home as a real estate investment that you live in. And you should always be leveraging any available equity that you have in this piece of real estate that you live in, and that you use it to make an arbitrage. You borrow it at a rate, and you lend it at a higher rate. And the difference is the money that you can earn in addition to the money that you're making from your W-2 job or whatever. And it goes in to help you pay your monthly mortgage payment. It's a total mouthful, and you have to go through these steps one at a time. And I didn't figure this out. Like, I started with velocity banking. I went to the HELOC, started doing that. Then I added infinite banking with the policy part of it and the insurance part. And then I went to private lending and understanding how to do that and to generate arbitrage from the HELOC through the policy. And then it all started to work. It took me about, Joey, help me with this, maybe 5 months to get all of that going.
Yeah.
Just because he was like, what? How does that all work? And then even to the point on the private lending side, like, who's going to pay me 12%? And actually, you can. 12% is pretty easy. You can probably get up to the high teens, maybe as high as 20. But even if you didn't believe that you could get money in private lending, you could, in theory, just go invest in the stock market, and the S&P 500 has averaged 12% over the last whatever. I would never recommend to do that. I would never put money in the stock market because you can't control that. I would do another real estate investment where I'm in a first lien position. There's a bunch of, I'll give you one example. There's opportunities where you can invest $50,000 for 5 years at 12%. And be in a first lien position on another piece of real estate. And those are pretty easy to find. And that's not any more risk than what you have in owning the home that you're in now. So that's much safer than putting your money in the stock market. I'll get off my high horse.
I was going to
Just
say,
want
for
to do a
anyone
quick
new here,
petition.
that's a client, and we didn't plan him to be on doing that. So that's the type of knowledge that we want you guys to have, that just the ability to discern between fact and fiction and good opportunity versus maybe not right now or not best for me. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Brent.
Thanks, Brent. 95% of what we do is education. The other 5% is you implementing what we discuss.
And
You
if you
can't do
haven't,
anything unless you know.
yeah, if you haven't seen our website yet, realmoneymasters.com, we have, I mean, besides being on the homepage, very clear that we don't charge to help you guys with this stuff. Um, that's important for a lot of people to know. But we have diagrams, and you guys, it's like an old computer game. You're just going to click on the coins, read the pop-up, see what the explanation is, how it compares with a mathematical example to what you know. And you're just going to put all three of the diagrams together when you're implementing it. You have the IBC for the infinite banking. So it's an infinity loop, just like your money flows. You've got that house shape for the one pot HELOC. And then we have an explanation on the velocity banking. You can do velocity banking through the HELOC, like Brent was talking about, or you can do it through the policy, which is what got me out of debt and out of paycheck to paycheck with my first policy. Both are great. But once you get the HELOC, once you acquire that, if that is your strategy, and you have both systems in place, you're going to want to be, fiscally speaking, the math works out better if you're not prioritizing paying the loans back to the policy, but prioritizing filling your HELOC bucket, implementing it or running it through the policy when needed, putting it right back into the HELOC, and as Brent said, going into those opportunities.
And this goes out to people out there who do not have their own home. You might be renting. Guess what? Now we can use the policy as a revolving line of credit,
Mhm.
just like the HELOC. That's how Bree did it.
Yep. That
Excuse me,
first
Joe.
policy, oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask, can we do this with business lines of credit as well? If someone
If
was
it's
renting.
if it's a revolving line of credit, it can be done.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That first policy, because I know a lot of people hear these strategies and they hear if this is what the wealthy are doing, it's not for me. Remember what we said in the beginning. This is about mindset. This is about being willing to take in the information, learn what you can, accept that we don't have the full scope of anything. We need to always be learning more, but also understanding that this is something that did help someone like me when I started. I was in debt, paycheck to paycheck. I had nothing in savings. My first policy was just a little guy, just, 250 a month. That was all that I could afford, or so I thought, because I didn't get the full education that I have now. If I could tell me back then to go back and put that policy design to be the maximum of what the IRS was telling me I could run through, I would have. If I could have had it set to go with a different carrier, I would have. But it still took care of me in those first 8 months and got me out of debt, which got me out of paycheck to paycheck. And by the first year, I was able to do annual premiums instead of monthly. And then by the end of the second year, no, sorry, end of the second year, we were moving into our house. So I was living in a tin can in a trailer court, $570 a month for lot rent. And now I'm living in a $500,000 house in the mountains with a couple of acres, and I have the HELOC system in place. So I'm paying about the same as I was for lot rent. So
Do
it's
we
it's
have
a really
any?
good strategy. Do we have any other testimonials from or any other clients that just want to share their experience, even if you're still new to the campfire? If you've heard something that changed your way of thinking, let people know.
I'm happy to, Bree.
Who was that?
That was Chris.
Oh, okay.
So when I first met Joe, and I'm gonna actually look over here at the camera. When I first met Joe, and he was talking HELOCs and stuff, I'd already had one for like 3 years, I think. And what Joe said just melted my brain because he understands it so much better than I did at the time, which was very funny to watch. Um, and so yeah, the HELOC I think is probably one of the best. I missed that.
I don't know. Yep, I don't know who that was.
Somebody had their thing unmuted.
And so I did get a policy with Joe shortly thereafter for the IBC, so we're doing that too. But something that's really interesting about a HELOC that I would guess that Joe knows, but I got to experience firsthand. So the HELOC automatically pays itself. So if you don't have an income coming in that month, the HELOC will pay itself interest only, and then it keeps building what you owe to the HELOC, but it covers itself for emergencies. Well, technically, I've had a financial emergency going on for the last year and a half. And so the HELOC has covered me that entire time. And my wife's in training for a new career, so she doesn't have a whole lot of income coming in. And so one of the huge benefits of the HELOC is emergencies or situations where you don't know what to do. It'll just take care of you. That's not something you talk about much with a HELOC, but it has been my experience firsthand. And I think the HELOC should be the found one of the two, IBC and then HELOC, one of the two foundations of everybody's financial future because it produces such benefits that you wouldn't expect a financial tool to do at home.
I love that.
So
It's
Thank you
awesome.
very much, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
that's pretty much what I got to share about that.
That's great. It really can float you in times of unexpected turbulence. That is for sure. It's a lifesaver. So, Megan, do we have any questions or anyone else?
Is there anybody else out there that wants to do
Yeah,
a
Mark and
testimony?
Lynette can, if you can hear us.
I have a
Yep, we
question about
got you.
opportunity.
Okay, yeah. Let's go ahead and hear Mark and Lynette, and then we'll open up the floor for questions.
Okay. We started the what was called the infinite policy, the BYOB under Nelson Nash. We tried to start that about 30 years ago, and we were paying into the paid up additions riders, and we had adopted a couple of girls, and so money was really tight already from adopting, but I think we were putting another 1,200 a month into the POP, yeah, into the paid up additions rider. And then, we were so excited about it. We could see all the benefits of what it would do. And it'd be like, we'd be so excited. And then we'd go to the meeting and they'd say, yeah, you need to just get more money into your policy. And oops, can you hear me?
Yep,
Yes.
we can hear
You
you.
need to get more money. So, you need to keep building up your policy and then you can do it. And I think a year and a half passed or longer, couple of years. And we just there was no benefit. We couldn't see any benefit. And we were really let down. I mean, really just quite deflated. So we stopped doing it. And that was, like close to, 28 years ago, whatever. We would be that far ahead. But so then we, through the years, we did a bunch of different bad investments, bought high, sold low, bought Aviator Ale right next to Boeing in Seattle, and they went bankrupt. I mean, it's like, you name it, it would be such a good investment, and nothing seemed to be going right. And both Mark and Mark's a lawyer and I'm an executive. I mean, we made, a very good, very, very, good amount of income. A lot of times I ended up, staying home to homeschool our girls there for a while. So, we'd kind of go back and forth. But then Mark retired and some things happened health-wise for our daughter. So I had to stay home and take care of our daughter. And the bills, we just had a lot of health bills and those related things that they were astronomical.
Uninsured expenses.
Yeah, uninsured expenses. And so we worked with Joe and Bree, got a HELOC, did an investment, were able to use the HELOC to pay off some of the
outstanding debts.
Yep.
Tens of thousands of outstanding debts that were at the high card rates and took those down to like 6.99%.
Mm-hmm. Which those are now paid off.
It's all paid off still.
So we were able to do a couple of different investments and I mean, still we're kind of, for us, we're still looking at getting that velocity banking or the infinite banking, and apologies because things are just so crazy for us, but still need to do that. But right now we are out of debt. There are still some things that just, we need to take care of, personally, health-wise, but we're able to stay on top of it. And there is no way we would have just kept drowning in all of the interest and in, trying to find ways to make more money. And now we can invest that money and then pull the interest out. So for us, we can either put more money back in and then raise the dollar amount of our investments, or kind of split it, which is what we're doing, putting some of it back in for investments, but some of it we're using to be able to maintain some of these health related bills without going back into a lot of debt. So there's no way we could have done it without their help. No way.
That's so much stress you guys have gone through, but I'm so glad you're coming out the other side. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I do see we've got some questions here too. I'm going to start with whose hand is sitting at the top,
So,
Sandy.
oh, okay.
Was I right, Megan?
Well,
Did you?
yeah, I was gonna read her questions, but if she
Oh,
wants to ask it,
I
that's
thought I heard
fine
her
too.
asking it before. So yeah, Sandy, did you pipe up before?
Yeah, and I keep my internet's going in and out, so I hope if I could read it or you could read it. I'm just starting to understand the concepts. I just took out all I have in my policy to continue to pay off credit cards instead of having it build up there.
Mm-hmm.
Do I worry about the growing loan amount and the interest? That's my first question. And my second one is about the PUA.
Okay. So, with that first part of your question, when it comes to your interest, it's only due once a year, and you're offsetting your interest if you put more of your income back into your policy to repay that loan with the intention of taking it out again. But you also, like, if you have PUA, it's good to max that out too. So that goes right to cash value. Most of it goes right to cash value instead of having to stay in like the premium, a portion of the premium does. And then the loan repayment, well, that goes right back to cash value and you're just utilizing it again.
Okay, so the second question, I don't know if it was answered. So I just pulled out the maximum amount of PUA. What do I do with that next? I just continue to pay off credit cards or what I don't quite understand what
Yeah, if
paid
you're
up
pulling
So,
edition
out,
is.
oh, paid up addition is your cash value. That's the part of your policy that allows you to put dollars in and go right to your banking system versus to the cost of insurance.
and that
So,
is what we get our dividends paid
yep,
on also.
exactly. We want to fill the pot for PUA.
So
So,
with that, I
so
don't need to
Stan,
pay something else. I don't need to pay anything else back
Well,
to the policy with that.
I
So
mean,
when you
you
borrow,
maxed out your
when,
PUA. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
yeah. So when you borrow that PUA, Sandy, you're going to use that to pay down your credit cards. So your credit cards are at 28%. When you
Right.
borrow from the insurance company, that's at like 7% or even less. So what did
Okay.
you just do? You just saved yourself 20%
Mm-hmm.
and not paying yourself back while you're still making money on that money in dividends. Yes, at the
So,
end of the year, you're going to have to pay interest on that money, but that money and that interest is going to be far less than the 28% that you were paying, right?
right. Okay. So I don't at this time until my credit cards are gone, I don't worry about the growing amount of my loan. It's getting higher and higher.
True, because you won't pay back the loan until you're totally out of debt. What is the purpose of paying back the loan when you're still paying 28% in a credit card? So
Okay.
when that money runs through and you're able to take that PUA, that borrowing money, that
Hmm.
goes to credit cards to diminish the 28%. Let the credit card live inside the policy at 7%. You just saved 21%.
Okay. All right.
Now after
I'm
those
doing
credit
what I'm
cards,
supposed to be doing. Thank you.
yep, after those credit cards are paid off and you have no more credit cards, well, what's going to happen? Now that money that was going to the credit card is going to come back to the policy, and then you're going to recapture all that money.
what are the differences when getting all-in-one HELOC on a rental property that is already paid off? I understand rates may be higher. Are there differences to consider? I'm guessing rental property versus your primary.
So when you're utilizing the rental property, I believe the highest they go is 80%. On your primary, it would be up to 89%. In regards to the amount of money that you're going to pull out of that, what is your rent coming in at? If your rent is covering the amount of money that you're getting, that 100, $200,000, taking that out of the equity of that rental and putting that to work, maybe buying another rental, what are you actually doing? That tenant is actually paying for you to use that money to get another investment to make more money. It's a fabulous idea. Next, who wants to ask another question?
Hi Joe, it's Roman. How are you?
Hey, Roman, how are you?
Good, good. Uh, do you know somebody who can give a HELOC on the rental property?
We do.
Okay.
Absolutely. Give me a call and we'll go over it.
I think I need a little bit pump up my credit score because my credit score right now low.
Okay.
And when I pump a little bit up my credit score, and then I'll make a call.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, brother.
I did see.
I got a question. This is TJ. How you guys doing? Bree and Joe.
DJ, what's
TJ,
going
doing
on?
good.
Nothing much, man. Just hanging out in Georgia for now, but we're leaving here soon.
There you go.
Hey, this is a quick question. Is there a way to run like your gross income from like say a business into this whole system? Is that even do you have some clients that are doing that? That'd be my question.
So how is the business set up? Is it an LLC? Is it an S corp? Is it a pure pass through? Are we taking distributions? There's a whole bunch of questions that when the money from your business goes into your LLC, how does it come over to your personal side? We're going over across the water. In the beginning, if you did a capital contribution from your personal to the business, then you would be able to move that amount of money back and forth with the capital contribution as long as you kept, the paperwork for it. You could lend your money to the business and then have your business pay you interest, and it would be a write off to the business. So it just depends on what kind of system you have and how are we moving the money back and forth. That would be more for a strategy call to do it a one-on-one to find out exactly how you're doing it.
All right, thank you, and great call tonight. First one, man. Glad to be here.
Thanks, man.
I'm trying to make everyone. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
So here's a
I have a question on the
for-
gas station. On the gas station picture, an
Yes,
example.
Steve.
What happens when
Yeah.
the opportunity doesn't pay?
So then there's other options to utilize the HELOC and live off the HELOC, like who was that said that? Chris. Chris. So every opportunity should pay at some point in time, depending on if we're investing in real estate or notes or however.
What if the investment just kind of ghosts you and you don't hear anything anymore?
Well, I have an investment that hasn't paid me in 19 months. It's going to come through, but it just depends on what the circumstances is, I would imagine.
Oh, that stings. Okay.
So a
Hello.
concept question, or actually, go ahead.
Go ahead, boy.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to go down that color of money sort of type things of, so right now all my lazy dollars go into the HELOC because it has the highest interest rate of everything, so it's buying down that. I'm used to kind of the digital envelope, intentional spending, saving for a big purchase, but that starts giving my money different colors and different things inside of the HELOC, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around, are there other ways I could be thinking about those dollars so that it's not just, hey, this is for a medical emergency, or this is for the next house down payment, or, those other larger expenses that you tend to save for. Just trying to think of if I can start getting more of my money into a single color versus how I have thought about it in the past.
So, we're taught to keep money in a savings account and not move it. So you're trying to do what I usually tell people. Do you pay your electric bill with blue money? Do you pay your gas bill with red money? Do you pay your credit cards with yellow money? No, it's all green. It belongs in one pot. So now when that money comes into that HELOC, let's say we have a line of 100,000. and we take 50,000 out and we pay our credit cards, we pay off our car loan. Now we're running it back into our system. Well, that 50,000, how much of that is your emergency fund that you wouldn't want to ever spend? That's something that your stomach, you got to have a belly.
Alexa, wind on.
Or what? Or to lend on to? Yeah, absolutely.
No,
But
yeah, sorry, the wrong mic got muted, but keep on going.
oh, okay. So now so how much do you want to keep in that out of that 50,000 for the emergency fund? You might need 20,000. You might need 30,000. So you still have 20,000 out of that 50. Well, what happens the next month? 10,000 comes in, 5,000 goes out. Now you have another 5,000. Well, did that just diminish your emergency account or did it make it greater? No. You still have that 20,000 that you allocated for the emergency, but now you have 35 to utilize. So I guess you should always keep, a certain amount inside that HELOC that gives you that warm fuzzy feeling to know that you still have money, but still allocate how much money you can still, utilize for an investment or how much you need to get before you need that investment, and then utilize the leftover for the opportunities of your utilities and a credit card. You should have an operating account inside the HELOC, a savings account inside the HELOC, and then saving up for the investment inside the HELOC. That means that your HELOC is now your one pot system. It's your savings account, your checking account, and your investment account. But I can't tell you what percentage or how much. That that that's up to you to keep your, how much do you need for that savings account that needs to give you that warm fuzzy feeling. It might be 10,000 for one person, it might be 50,000 for the other.
Yeah, and that makes like definite sense because it helps like pay down the most expensive interest that I'm currently incurring and other such things. It's just trying to figure out going as I'm having that safety net built up or
Yeah.
those larger expenses of going, is there a more efficient way to try to either map out my cash flow or other items to say, even though X amount of dollars exist, can I repurpose some of that and likely before it ever occurs that, you know, the safety net for just regular safety net versus safety net for medical, does that really matter? Or is it all just part of the safety net and I should just adjust that number and be good? Is I think some of the rationale I'm still working through.
I think you would be able to combine it and just say that this is for medical and for emergency, that kind of thing. But now that number is going to be even greater. You might say, I need $20,000 for 4 months of, paying my bills, but I might need an extra 20,000 for medical. So now, you add those two numbers together. Now that's your safety net. I think it would be better if you were to conglomerate those together. Use your operating account as operating and keep that warm fuzzy feeling also.
Thanks.
Welcome, Boyd. Who do we got next?
I was going to say, I do see a few questions here in the chat. I'm going to run down the list.
I thought I got them all.
I'm catching up because I couldn't see any of them while I was doing the presentation, and that's why it took me so long to mute the additional microphones that were going.
Went back and just going back and forth, and so most of them were answered. So we should be good. The only other one would be, how do you mitigate risk from a bad deal? But I think we kind of covered that one.
Joe, can I ask this question real quick? This is Van.
Sure, Van. Yeah, go ahead, Van.
Going back to the missed opportunity question, haven't you kind of already mitigated your risk to at least some extent once it's in the life insurance policy? You've kind of
So yeah,
mitigated your risk there because the traditional way of investing, you would have had to take your money and put it out there, and it would have been the compounding would have been interrupted. But at least here, you've got a chance to mitigate that risk and recapture that if you did have a bad opportunity. You certainly don't want to make too many of those, but you do have an opportunity to kind of mitigate that risk, would you say?
so that's why we always say that the IBC policy is an and
Asset.
asset.
Yep.
Exactly. Because once you run that money through the policy, that money will always make you dividends until you stop breathing. So now you're going to take that and put that into the opportunity. What did you just do? You hedged your money against that opportunity. Yeah, of course, we always want 100% home runs with opportunities to make that extra cash flow. But like you said, if something were to happen to that opportunity and we lose 100% of that, which I've been a private money lender for 13 years and I have never lost 100%, better knock on wood for that one, but of any of my investments. Granted, there were times that I waited 4 months. There's times that I'm currently waiting 17 months. There's times that, hey, I'm going on 2.5 years for one of the investments too. So I mean, you just have to make sure that you have that emergency fund in that HELOC to cover and make sure that when that money comes in, you put it to use and be efficient and utilize the dollar.
Because the other scenario would be lost opportunity costs, which then you could be eaten up by inflation.
Yep.
And that's a silent killer.
That's correct.
Thank you for that clarification. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Do we apply for first position HELOC for rental versus a DSCR loan?
Debt consolidation.
Yep. DSCR.
That's a debt service
Oh,
coverage ratio.
yeah.
Yeah, so they're utilizing the rent in order to cover that loan on it. What is the difference? It's a revolving line of credit. Your DSCR loan would still be a loan. Now, I believe that would be amortized. Van, are you aware if a DSCR is amortized, or is it a revolving line of credit?
Debt service ratio is typically going to be amortized. The big difference is that you don't have to provide like your 2 years or tax returns and income statements. It's based off of the asset itself. It's an asset-based loan. For
Okay.
businesses, typically, though.
Yeah.
Right.
It's for a business.
Like if your rental was owned by an LLC,
Like an
LLC, then you could do a DSCR loan, go in and grab 100,000, but it's not a revolving line of credit. They're going to hand you $100,000
doing a rehab type project.
Yep, and then you're going to pay. You're going to take out that 100,000 and start the amortized process with money going to principal, money going to interest, and paying that back. Correct?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
All right. Now with the HELOC, that would be a revolving line of credit. So you would get that 100,000, and if you didn't use any of that, it's in the bank account. Well, now you don't pay anything. The hundred's in the bank account until you move it. Now let's say you moved 50 of it. You put that into an opportunity, started making $500 a month. Then you found another opportunity for another 20,000. Well, now you make money on that. So a HELOC is your revolving line of credit, and you're only paying interest when you're utilizing it.
And the DSCR is more like a mortgage. Once you make a payment to it, it's gone.
Right. One time and done. HELOC is revolving.
I see two more questions here that I wanted to answer. The first one was, do you work with more than one bank in your process of helping clients to obtain a HELOC? Yes.
Yes.
We have an Excel sheet, a list of banks and credit unions around the country, and it breaks it down depending on if it's a first position, second position, primary home, secondary home, rental property, if it's up to a certain amount for LTV, if it's up to a certain amount just for total line, no more than 500 or whatever it is, and what the interest rate would be and what the necessary credit score would be to obtain it, and their DTI limits. We also have clients that reach out all the time just letting us know about their local credit unions or banks that they came across. So that list is ever growing. There's well over a dozen banks currently that we've got on the list, and we've had conversations with clients and the banks that they have on the phone to help facilitate ensuring the right questions are asked. Um, Another question I saw was, what type of budget or software program do we recommend to track expenses? I agree, it can be easy to overspend if using the HELOC, but if we're living within our means and we're using credit cards to do all expenses and utilities, and the HELOC only to pay what can't be charged to a credit card or to pay the credit cards, there is tracking happening in all of the apps that I've seen. So my HELOC bank account, I can see what the deposit number is, what the expense number is for what's leaving the pot. I can see on my credit cards where the transactions were. That's how I track. I just go month by month when necessary, but I'm also, getting more efficient just each time about knowing what that budget is and just staying within that. I mean, when you have the HELOC, you don't feel inclined as much to spend all this money in other places because you know that it would be better utilized offsetting what you owe for the house and trying to get to fill that pot to another 50,000 or whatever your number is before you throw it out to an opportunity to make more money. You get out of the
When
consumption mindset and more into the production utility of the dollars mindset.
when you get into these systems, when you get into these different tools that we use, IBC, HELOCs, different DSCR loans, or whatever it may be, you need to have a grasp on what is coming in and what is going out. If you're spending more than you're making, that is not going to work in any circumstance, in any system. You need to be wanting to learn. You need to want to invest in yourself, to get out of debt, to climb to that next ladder. This isn't a magical bucket. You need to work for it. You need to strive for it. You need to want to get to the next level. What other questions do we have, Bree?
He's just dropping hints that he's unhappy with our yard.
Yeah.
Maybe
Could you cover the mechanics of a HELOC and what happens to the mortgage in an all-in-one example and second lien example? How does a HELOC that is less than your mortgage pay off mortgage?
How does a HELOC less than your mortgage pay off your mortgage? Okay, so the mechanics of a first lien HELOC. You have a $400,000 house. Well, I guess a 5,000 would be better for mathematical purposes. Okay, you have a $500,000 house and you're allocated for 80% to go up to, the bank goes up to 80%. So now, regarding if you do qualify or not, so for the $400,000 and you owe $200,000 on your mortgage, well, that mortgage is now going to live inside the HELOC. You have a $400,000 line, 200 to pay off the mortgage, and 200 that isn't touched. So when you get an all-in-one and you owe $200,000 to your HELOC, $100,000 to, or $50,000 for a car payment, and another $60,000 to credit cards, all of that is going to live inside the HELOC. So when the bank qualifies you, they're qualifying you at the line of credit. They're not qualifying you with the car loan, how much is going to the credit cards, how much you paying your mortgage. You know why? Because all that's paid off. As soon as you get the HELOC, all of that goes away. So that is why you get qualified on the line itself. If that line is 200, if that line is 300. Um, what was the second part of that, Megan?
Uh, could you cover the mechanics of a HELOC and what happens to the mortgage in an all-in-one example and a second lien example? How does a
So now,
HELOC that's
We
less
just
than a
answered that
mortgage?
one, Bree.
Oh, I thought he asked
so
if
the,
Yeah,
the last
I,
the
part of that.
second part.
Okay, how
The
does a
yeah, I
second
think
HELOC
part.
this.
that's less than a mortgage pay off mortgage?
So then in the second lien, that same example, that's 500,000 and you're allocated for 80. So you have a 400 line. You owe 200,000 in the mortgage. 400 minus the 200, the bank is going to give you a line of 200,000, not 400,000. So a second lien, you're going to get 200,000 that consolidate your credit cards, your car loans inside of that 200. But remember now you're going to be paying a mortgage and a HELOC. So sometimes, depending on the numbers, everything is done mathematically depending on how long you have the mortgage. Is it a 30-year mortgage? Is it a 15-year mortgage? Have you been in the house 2 years or have you been in the house 15 years? How much money is cash flow? How much money comes into the house? How much money goes out of the house? There are so many factors, and that's why each and every one of you are different. We would have to do the strategy call. I would have to get the numbers. We would have to figure it out. You have to picture me in the Goodyear blimp. I'm looking down in the stadium. I have to see everything that's going on. Got to calculate everything out to see where the numbers are and where they go.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that can kind of come into play is kind of one of those like velocity banking. Like if you have a small second lien HELOC, you could do the whole chunking method of
Yep.
saying, oh,
Yep.
I have this
Yep.
much cash flow. I'll just pay down the second lien, take 10
Mm-hmm.
grand, put it towards my regular mortgage, pay down the second lien with my cash flow and go that way. And then that way you're jumping lines on the amortization table, which saves you interest and other such things when you get into some of those smaller second lien position HELOCs.
Totally correct, boy. Totally correct. And two, to go on that, sometimes a person comes in with a 15-year mortgage that they've been in that house for 7 years, and that interest rate is 2.5%. Well, guess what? The amount of money that goes to interest would be close to $400 a month. If you were to take that, incorporate it into an all in one, why would I want that to go up to 7 or 8%? Why would I take the leftover 200,000 and make it be 8% when we're only having 400 go on a monthly basis? Everything that I do is mathematical. I'm not going to put you into an all-in-one if it doesn't make mathematical sense. If you're not going to save money, there's no reason for me to put you in it. And I'm going to check that and double check that and make sure. We'll work with the bank. They'll put it into the magic calculator. We'll put what you're doing on the left. We'll put your cash flow and the HELOC on the right. We'll calculate that out. What is the total number of interest on the left that we're paying? What is the interest on the right? It has to make mathematical sense, or I'm not going to even let you do it. What else we got, Bree? Any more questions?
Um, I think we got them all.
Think we got them all?
I do.
Well,
Great call. Great.
thanks, Van.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Joe and Bree and Megan. This is Stan. I don't, but
I can tell you, boy. Say Stan.
but yeah, I'm new. I'm on like the beginning of my journey. Um, Trying to start my policy. I do have a second lien HELOC through my credit union, but like I said, after talking with Joe and Bree, it was better.
Oh,
We lost Dan.
easy come, easy go. Oh, that's the hardest part is the day of the internet, when it wants to work and when it doesn't. Oh, maybe that's Dan messaging. No, darn it. Okay. We're gonna have to call
Well,
Stan.
real
Can policy loan interest be deducted?
So I'm not an accountant and a lawyer, a financial advisor, yada yada yada. We should have put that up in the beginning for our disclaimers and stuff like that. Don't take any of my advice.
Oh, it's on
For
our
what do you call
website. Yep.
it? All right. Um, so mortgage interest is deductible, and you're going to get a 1065 when you do a HELOC, the HELOC interest. So depending on how your accountant decides what to do with that 1065. I believe it's a 1065 or maybe it's a 1096. I don't even know the exact number, but it's the interest that you're paying on your mortgage. It's the interest that you're paying on your HELOC. It's the same form. So it depends on how the accountant is going to do it. So I haven't had a problem with anything of my interest, and I've been doing this since '09. So.
I think if we don't have any more questions, I can start that video for people just to have fun if they've never watched it before. See if it's something good. I think it's a great introduction for the kids to start talking to them about money. But it's definitely the end of the presentation. So this video is just going to be for funsies. You don't have to stay on to watch it. I just love it so much. So let me go ahead and pull that up here. Depending on how, there it is. It's the escape button. Who knew? Okay, got out of there. And they're optimized. Okay, again, this is just for fun. It's cute. They don't make cartoons like this anymore, you know? Now it's all about just trying to rot your brain out of your skull. But back in the 60s here, they actually wanted to teach you something about money. And I loved it because I actually learned something my first time watching it. So I hope maybe you guys do too. If you guys are going to be here after, we can still chat. But if you guys want to hop off, thank you so much again for just joining in our first webinar.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Great having you guys.
Thank you so much.
Circulate. Franc, pound, peso, or piaster, dollar, ruble, or yen. If they stop moving, it's disaster till they're moving again. It's gotta circulate, circulate, come out of the woods, stimulate, motivate, service and goods. It's no nest egg to incubate. Money's got to circulate. Money's gotta circulate. Here's a bunny column, there's a bunny column standing in a row. Place a bunny column on a bunny column, see the way they grow. Bunny copper column, bunny silver column, I'm in love with you. Bunny paper column, why do you look solemn? I adore you too. How you rustle and sparkle and tinkle. Oh, the thrill of you never will cease. May you blossom and flower and rise like a tower and ever increase. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4.
Uncle Scrooge! Hi, Uncle Scrooge!
Just tidying up a bit, keeping things neat. Now, what can I do for you laddies? pull up a column and have a seat.
Look at all the money we've earned, Unc.
Ah, that's what I like to see. $1.95.
That's right. Gee, he sure knows his money.
Aye. And what do you plan to do?
We want you to save it for us, so we can be rich like you.
Well, saving is the first important step, no doubt. But money is something you should learn more about. I'm not the richest duck in the world today because I just salted my money away. Which brings up a point. If you'll step from the vault, once money really was salt.
Salt? That's hard to believe.
Ah, but that was the pay a Roman soldier would receive. And if he was lazy or his work was at fault, do you know what folks said?
He isn't worth his salt.
Aye. Salt was called salarium. That's where our word salary comes from.
Oh, look! Pirate money.
Aye, a piece of 8.
Why was it called that?
Here, I'll demonstrate. In a piece of 8, 8 pieces fit. Every piece is called a bit. 4 of the bits in each half sits, and half of a half is called
2 bits.
Correct. Now, these ancient Greek obols, tiniest coins of all, were carried in the mouth. They were so wee small. When a Greek went shopping, think of the yaks, as he coughed up the price and swallowed the tax. Now, the largest coin is this stone wheel from the island of Yap.
It's too big to steal.
Aye, laddies, that's so. Now, there was a time when there was no money, in those dark ages of primitive man. You see, money wasn't really needed until civilization began. A group of cavemen met one day to see if they could trade. They brought their spears and tiger skins and tools that they had made.
But how many tools for a tiger skin and how many skins for a spear? The aggregation in frustration hollered loud and clear. We need money, some form of money. How should we go about this anyhow? We could use corn or salt or oats, dried fish perhaps, or natty goats. But we must set a standard of value now.
A survey of the polls revealed that goats got all the votes. Then some smart joker priced a knife at 3 1/2 goats.
So back to the salt and the tiger skins, dried fish and pepper and tea, corn and beans and shells and seeds, as man cried bitterly. We need money, some stable money. Why should this be so awkward to arrange? We ought to try some metal things like swords or hooks or pots or rings, and thus improve our medium of exchange.
Well, articles of silver, copper, bronze, and gold were tried. And most successful was a disc with pictures on each side.
Along with the coin came the paper bill, backed by a government's name. They both cashed good like good cash should, but man, y'all just the same. We need money, convenient money. To cart this stuff around is too absurd. Why can't we store it high and dry and sign for everything we buy? It would be great if payment could be deferred.
Aye, that's exactly what occurred. Next came checks and credit cards and purchasing on time. When spending grows so easy, it's hard to save a dime.
Most men keep a family well fed today, clothed and sufficiently warmed. But in the main, their wives complain from habits they have formed. We need money! Boy, we need money! It's finally reached the stage that we adored. We're glad we don't need fish or oats or tiger skins or nanny goats. Our money's fine now, all that we need is more.
Uncle Scrooge, why don't they just print up a few billion or so?
A few billion? Oh, dear, no. My, that word billion, how it's abused. If it weren't so frightening, I'd be amused. Folks have no conception. Now, how much is in this hat?
Gee, a billion? Or more than that.
See what I mean? They were nowhere near. There's only 100,000 here.
$1 billion stacked upright without an accident is about 800 times the height of the Washington Monument. $1 billion on the ground, all stretched out and uncurled, would extend about 4 times around the circumference of the world.
Pick one up each second, day and night without a break. In 32 years you'd have them all, but oh, your back would ache.
$1 billion, 6 feet wide and arched across the sea. What a nice green bridge to walk or ride to the beach at Waikiki.
Gosh, $1 billion sure is a lot.
Aye, now print several billion and see what you've got. But unless something's behind it, in the treasury, something solid and secure, like me, we'd have inflation.
Inflation?
Ah, that's a mess. Your money would be worth less and less. It might take this hatful, I dare say, to buy what your piggy bank would buy today. $1 wouldn't be worth the paper it's printed on. Ooh. But that's not today. Oh, Hootman, my. It's what you can buy with what you've got. That's what counts. It's a question of economics.
Economics?
Aye, it only means household management. It's from an old Greek word. Household management, that's budgeting, do you ken?
Budgeting?
Aye, financial discipline. Let's say your income is like a pie. There's a piece for everything you buy. Cut portions wisely, don't be unnerved, or it will all be gone before everyone is served. You have to pay the rent.
And you have to buy clothes, the grocery bills, you have to pay those.
You can see at once where your money all goes when you plan the budget. The first of every month, the installments fall due. The note on the car, the TV set too. You'll be better off when you finally get through working out the budget.
Pink, blue, and white bills all over the place.
The power and light bills staring you directly in the face.
Payments cut in half for you want to be fair. You spend a bit here, you send a bit there. Now you realize that you're getting somewhere. Balancing the budget.
Oh, lads, we've been somewhat lax. We forgot the piece for the income tax.
Income tax?
Aye. Though taxes are a pain in the whatchamacallit, this right here, the wallet, taxes are the funds governments must get to run their households and keep out of debt.
They must have a budget, too.
Aye, that they do. That they do. You see, the government provides, through the taxes we pay, our bridges and schools and places to play.
Builds the county road or the modern highway called for in the budget. Departments of police and of water and fire, the various courts, the juries they hire, aeroplanes and ships and the care they they require, all are in the budget. No one relaxes when tax deadlines fall, but without our taxes, we would have no government at all. In budgeting a home and a government too, it really should show a profit to you. Something should be left when the payments are through, when you plan the budget.
Always remember to save a slice for yourself.
When you plan the budget.
After all, it's your pie. And that's how I became rich, making the little slices grow. Money shouldn't be idle and must be put to work, you know.
Oh, yeah? How about all that idle dough you got stashed away?
Oh, no, lads. This is just petty cash. Moves in and out each day. If I sat on my money, I might just as well be stranded on a desert island for all the good 'twould do me. I couldn't eat it, couldn't wear it, couldn't use it. Oh, I can't bear it. Help! Money should never stagnate, but like ocean currents, circulate. Like the ocean currents control the world's weather, you see, circulating money controls the economy. Money must keep moving to fulfill its obligation.
And if you squeeze it too tight, you'll stop its circulation.
That's a bonny one. And how true.
We don't want that to happen to our money. We want our piggy bank to grow.
Well, making a shrewd investment is the soundest way I know. This way, please, prospects. May I introduce our president and the members of the board. Such a talented management should never be ignored. Not a weak link in the chain. Now then, it behooves you when investing to investigate the facts, and you'll profit while digesting how a corporation acts. Let us take a firm at random. For example, this one here, from the start of the second quarter to the end of the fiscal year. Oh, it's simple. Isn't it simple? Yet you have to understand it to survive. All the facts you must digest if you're thinking to invest the remarkable sum of $1.95. In the course of normal ventures, you'll observe a steady rise. Then converting their debentures, they agreed to subsidize. Here the sinking fund was voted, and the averages prepared, and you'll note a revaluation when the dividend was declared.
Are these figures optimistic with the market selling short? Please refer to the statistic in the annual report.
I perceive you're all acknowledging the fact you can't escape, that you never have seen a firm in any firm of financial shape.
Oh, it's simple. Isn't it simple? In the proper hands, your money is alive.
All the facts you must digest if you're thinking to invest the remarkable sum of $1.95. Now, laddies, is everything clear?
No, but it sounds like a good deal.
Fine, fine. Sign here. Congratulations, stockholders. There'll be a 3-cent fee.
3-cent fee?
For my time and consultation. Nothing good is ever free.
And now our money's going to work. Right, Uncle Scrooge?
Aye, laddies, you've made a handsome start. You've invested very wisely. And investing wisely is an art.
It's gotta circulate, circulate, round and around. Circulate, circulate, get off the ground. It needs a direction to journey to. If you want your money to be good to you, it's gotta circulate, circulate, come out of the woods. Stimulate, motivate, service and goods. It's no nest egg to incubate. Money's got to circulate.
I'll stop it there. I know it's not necessary for the financial calls, but I think it's really prudent that people know that there are some resources out there that predate the internet, at least that try to teach some of these concepts. And I feel like when Scrooge was showing his face on the wall, all that had me thinking about was he's doing his family banking. He has his own constitution set up. He's running his family office, and that's why he has those different roles. So that'll segue into our future webinars where we're talking about how we're creating the preservation tactics for expanding it into the next generations. So
Awesome. I loved it.
I love that part too.
Money needs to circulate.
I love Scrooge so much. So there's some few good ones. The other one was a lot longer though, but I like educational cartoons. I was raised on Schoolhouse Rock. I think we need to bring that back. And Clara said she's
Well,
looking forward to working with us and to have a good night. It was so great to have you join in. Thank you so much for being here with us, and I look forward to chatting with you again.
thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming to my debut of Just Ask Joe. It was awesome, and I had a good time. More to come. More to come, okay?
Absolutely. You guys
Yeah,
rock.
better,
Thank you so
better than
much
that.
for giving us a
Did you
job
tell
we
them?
love to do.
How about our YouTube? We have our YouTube up. We can
Yep.
give them.
If you search at Heloc Joe, it will come right up with Heloc Joe and Real Money Masters. This will be the first video we put onto the YouTube. We're just getting started out and grooving. Yeah, who do we have in here right now? Let me see. Should I share that picture or no?
No.
No. Oh, we'll wait. That'll be an Intune. Later date.
But yeah, if you subscribe to the YouTube, I'm gonna be starting doing videos, so those will be popping out, and we're gonna be moving and grooving. More education and helping everybody that we can.
Absolutely. I'm into that. All right. Well, you
All
guys
right.
have a great evening, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your week and a fantastic weekend.
And
Thank
then
you,
if you guys
everybody.
have any questions or there's anything throughout the night, Megan at realmoneymasters.com. And I can get you on Joe's calendar, help you out any way I can.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. You rock. Good night, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.